Welcome to Humminbird Hub. With us today, we have a very interesting person, Zoe Sophocleous, fashion designer, stylist, blogger, and interior designer in the start, as I
Yeah,
understood.
lately I'm starting to involve myself a bit more with interior design, because I moved out basically from my family home. So I started interfering more with interior and have been getting a lot of questions. So I'm trying to get on that a bit, tiny bit.
So it sounds like you like to explore yourself in all the different
Yeah.
areas, right?
Yeah, as a person, I've always been like this. Since a young age, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but then when I found art, I just kind of submerged into it and basically exploring everything. Even at home, sometimes I like to paint. So I try just do a bit of everything that makes me feel alive in a way.
That's wonderful. So you always
Mm.
like to test the
Yeah,
limits and the boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah.
always.
Well, that's the inspiring part about processes like that, because that means that you try yourself in different.
I think it's important. I think to explore yourself is one of the best things I could ever give as an advice to someone, because when you start exploring your boundaries and what you're good at, what you're bad at, what you like doing, what you don't like doing, and who you really are, it's basically how you find out what you want to do in life. Some people explore themselves less because a lot of people are scared of what they might actually find out.
Even about themselves.
Yeah, about themselves. I think a lot of people are scared to explore because they might not like what they're gonna find. But the more you explore yourself, the more you know who you are and what you want to do. And I think the faster you go there. I think it's not really with age; it's just how much you try.
Willing to try.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, what have you found out about yourself through this process?
As a person, I found that work-wise, I am more than happy with where I am and what I like doing and my daily routine, let's say, because a lot of people find it hard to actually love what they do. They have a job, but they don't have a dream. So somewhere in between, you kind of live instead of feeling alive during the day. So I found that I feel alive in those aspects. I found that I'm also sensitive with my loved ones. And I also found that I went through a process actually 2-3 years ago after a personal situation, and I exchanged everything about me. Like I remember I went blonde. I cut my hair; they were really long. So I even explored with my looks just to figure out if this, like what I look at in the mirror, if it's what I like. Do I want to change it to make me happy? Because I think it's important for you to like what you look like. Because if you like it, everybody else doesn't matter.
So you almost used yourself as that canvas.
Yeah.
To be the artist of your life, right?
Yeah. I found that I started clean and started just figuring out what it is I like looking like and being like, the people I have around me, the things I do every day. Started exploring more hobbies, started things like horse riding and pottery.
How two totally different things.
Yeah, I found that one brings out my inner child and the other one brings out a more disciplined side of me.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
I wanted a bit of an unbalance so I can, total feel balanced as a person.
Wonderful. So it's a strive towards
Not perfection. The way I see it, it's in a way like this. The way I see life, it's a bit of a sphere. And I separated before when I was younger, I would actually put parts in that sphere that weren't important. Now, the way I see the sphere is self love, because I used to have love as an aspect, but love isn't an actual aspect. It has to be self love first, and then the actual real love comes along. Then I have friends, I have family, I have work, and I have my surroundings where I like to get inspired by. So I have those areas separated, and I said that those areas need to make a sphere of what makes Zoe happy. And every time I speak to my friends to give them advice, I say the same thing. What needs to be done for you to feel whole is have people around you that make that sphere complete. And then for me, the love life comes around as a hug to that sphere. But it's important for us to know that what we do and who we are by ourselves is more important than who we're with, because you need to be complete as a person and then have someone hug that. You can't really get rid of your family. I mean, your family is your family. So you need to learn to work with them and love them and respect them as you should. And same with friends. Friends kind of become family, I think.
Yeah, it's like a chosen family.
Yeah, it's a chosen family. So for me, the most important things in life are respect, family, discipline, work. So I see that sphere as work and family, whether that's chosen or given. So as long as that sphere is complete, then I think everything else just falls through.
That's beautiful. Tell me a little bit more about the self-love you were talking about. How would you describe the process of that completion process within yourself, as I would imagine, putting the pieces back together too?
I think self-love is hard. It's like a mountain. There's days where you feel like you're on top of it all and you're looking down at everything you have accomplished. And then there's days when you're so low that you need to look up to where you were to actually resurface to that. The main thing that I learned about self-love is you need to be careful of who you have around you, because there's a lot of people that want you to not self-love. Because when you don't self-love, your self-respect, your boundaries, they get lower. You know, you actually think that you deserve to be treated in certain ways when you really don't. So the most important thing is to just know where you stand. If you don't know where you stand, then you let people walk all over you, no matter how kind or cold you might be. I've met some people that others might have said they're terrible people, but I've seen them get weak and get sensitive and get low for love. I think love is one of the best gifts and then the worst at the same time.
Why the worst?
The worst, I think, is because you give your sphere to someone else. I wouldn't say your heart, because for me, a heart is more of a technical thing. You know, you need it to, you need it to be alive. You need it to breathe.
Which
you know, yeah. It's more of just like a technical thing. I think. Yeah, literally, you give someone your sphere, your inner soul, who you are and who you stand for, your aura, everything. So if I'm giving someone my sphere, then it's very easy for them to break that. That's where self-love comes in.
So basically, how it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is actually taking that focus away from the other person and their ideas of you or how you should be and whatever. Because obviously, if it's something projected that does not reflect your self-love, then it actually says something about them, right? But there is an innate need in most of us, ever since we're little, to have to live up to somebody else's expectations and win their love over. So really, in the moments like that, what it sounds to me, that challenging moments when the other person would be projecting something that you are not, it brings you back to the same spot where we all start, right? Ever since we were little.
It's a learning process. It's like learning to love your family and learning to love your friends and learning to love your job. You also need to learn to love yourself through all those aspects. I found that some people find it so much easier to put boundaries to friends and to family members. Some people find it easier to put it at work. Some people find it easier to put it in the love department. But I think everyone as a person has a bit of a, not weakness, a sensitivity.
Of course, we all here with that. No matter how much people try to
look tough.
Look tough and bring it down. To me, I think the biggest strength is actually owning up to your vulnerabilities in this world.
Yeah, I know. And that makes you get to just know yourself better. Yeah. Know where you stand, know what you're capable of. Like if I go in work and I think, I can achieve everything, that's me not putting boundaries, but releasing boundaries for myself in work.
I was just going to say, boundaries for yourself. Do you have boundaries for yourself?
Work-wise, none. Work-wise, I find that I take each day as it comes. I basically just go with it, and try my best. That's my motto always. Try your best, and if you're trying your best, then there's nothing more you can do. So I find that work-wise, I have boundaries and friends and family. And to myself, I put some boundaries with the hobbies. Okay, with the love department, I find that it all depends on people's experience as to where their boundaries lie. Depends with what they've gone through. Some people go through things and it makes them tougher. That was the case for me. Some people go through things and it breaks them. Some people go through things and it breaks them, and then they get tougher. So there's like different scenarios. But I find that I have boundaries, I'm hoping, everywhere, just with different heights.
So is boundaries the same as limitations?
No. No. Limitations, there are no limitations. I think you can literally, in all aspects, if you want to reach something in work, you can reach it if you put your mind to it. If you want to have good friends, there's no limit to that. You can have as many friends as you want. If you want to have a good relationship with your family, again, no limits. You set your limits. Now, boundaries sometimes have to be set because they're needed in all aspects, in work and in family and in friends and in love. Boundaries sometimes are there to protect others and ourselves, I think.
Can you give me an example of a boundary like that?
A boundary like that would be, for example, if it was in work. I've had a lot of people that I've worked with in the past that bluntly asked me, where are your factories? How do you do what you do? But in the sense to get my resources, to basically do exactly what I'm doing. There is where you need to set boundaries of where your kindness lies. I have given a lot of people that were in the same industry, let's say my packaging factory, because that doesn't affect me in any sort of way. But being kind to all sometimes isn't being kind to yourself. That's where I had to lay boundaries. And because I didn't love the other person, but because that person loved themselves more than they loved me. They were willing to get what I worked so hard for so many years to build, just for them to build something of their own. That's where boundaries need to lie at
So
work.
it's like a give and take. There is a certain balance with a give and take, right?
Yeah. So if you see that the other person is around you just to get your resources, to get basically what you're trying so hard to achieve, then you need to set boundaries, not because you don't love that person, but because you need to love yourself more.
And then you give the other person the freedom to explore themselves.
Yeah, and if they're happy with their choice, would I be happy with trying to get the easy way out and work? No, I would not be happy with myself. But that's where you need to be more aware of who you are, what you stand for. That's where self-love comes in all aspects. Let's say with family, boundaries would be you giving all the time. Let's say to a parent, to a sister, brother, you give, and then when you need something, the other person not being there. There needs to be boundaries. There needs to be a give and take. If you need something and you tell a family member of any sort, it might even be a cousin you have a good relationship with, that you want something back, they're not giving it, then you need to stop giving. That's boundaries, again, with self-love. If the other person keeps giving limitlessly, like without any limits, like we said, then you give that back the same. So that's where I see the difference between boundaries and limits. I'm the same in my love life. As long as the other person's here for me, as long as the other person loves me, then I will love them endlessly. But if there's no respect and no boundaries, you need to start setting boundaries for them.
So it's like rather than conditional love, it's more standards. Right?
It's a bit more of me, for example, as a person, I give unconditional love. But the person needs to give something back, and it's not about expectations or standards. It's more of respect. I think there needs to be some respect in all aspects, and in work as well. I mean, people collaborating together like us today. Let's say today that we're having this conversation. It means that we both have equal respect. If you don't have respect in work, friends, family, everywhere, then you can't possibly be. You can't expect. If you can't give, then things are just gonna go wrong eventually.
True. Yeah. Because somebody will get depleted sooner or later, right? Yeah. And then when that happens, then there is no more growth or expansion. Yeah. There is more survival mode kicking in. It's like, okay,
there's no future. There's just like, am I going to make it through the day?
Yes, exactly.
So it's the same with work. If you don't respect what you do and yourself, then I'm not going to make it through the day. But if you know your worth and you know what you're doing, then you're going to be like, no, I will make it today. Because I respect the people I work with. I respect the people that are around me. Even my sales girl that I have at the store, which is someone that works for me. But even factories, which are people that work with me, I treat everyone equally because we both need each other. So when you know that you need someone, you need to know how to treat someone right. And with respect and care, I believe.
Very, very well put. I think you should write a book about that.
I actually have been thinking about writing a book. I was writing quotes back in the day, like a year ago. But I think from some personal experience, I have wanted to write a book, but I said later on. I think I want to, because I'm still at a young age, I think there's still things that I will be learning, unfortunately.
I'm sure that I can't wait to see.
Yeah, and I thought around the age of 30 to 35, then I can sit down and write about work, and about life, and about how that has made me into who I am.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Can you tell me before we go on to other subjects, just if there is a certain routine that you have for self-love that you could share with the viewers.
I actually, as a person of, I don't know, a lot of organization and some OCD, I have lists. That is how that works for me. And for me, that's a part of self-love, because it means I know myself and I know what I want to achieve, and I know what I'm willing to give, and I know what I want to do. So what I do for self-love, I have my short-term list and my long-term list. These are lists that I want to achieve in order for me to be happy with who I am. Not for others to be happy, but for me to be happy. On my daily short-term list are things like eat well, breathe, don't be so harsh on yourself, drink well, which are things that are small, but a lot of us forget sometimes. We forget to take care of ourselves also physically when we're working so hard. I know for myself as well that sometimes I'll be like, you know what, I'll eat later on, because I'm working right now. And I did that for a few years, and then I realized that if this doesn't work, if this little plan in here doesn't work well, then nothing else is going to work. Work isn't going to work for me if I'm not self-loving. So I think the most important thing about self-love is to have your daily things. That would be take care of yourself physically, take care of yourself mentally. I also do things like pottery and horse riding for mental stability, and yoga and Pilates, which I find that are very calming. But those are also things that are physical but calm my inner peace. And also, I'm not ashamed to say that I do sometimes might go to a therapist, let's say, because I find that a lot of people, especially in Cyprus, are so close-minded that they believe that seeing a therapist means there's something wrong with you, when seeing a therapist is actually the first awareness of being healthy, of wanting to be better. There's so many people that live their lives through wanting to be unhappy and wanting to be sad, and it's okay, I'm damaged.
Actually attaching themselves to that feeling of whatever sadness, or it becomes their identity.
Yeah, they want to stay damaged. But a person that loves themselves wouldn't want to stay damaged, would want to fix themselves.
Absolutely.
So what I do is I take care of my mental state, I take care of my physical state, because one without the other wouldn't work. And sometimes if I do feel like I want to speak to someone that would not affect my life in any way, I do. I have my therapist. She's actually such a good person. And I do speak to her and I let all my feelings out, and I feel like I move on to be a better person, because that's me bettering myself. And that is something that I'm seeing also in our society. I have a lot of little girls, like, younger, texting me being like, how do you do it? How do you keep your mental state so well? How are you positive? How are you pulling through? And I wish more people would be open to talking about getting help, firstly, from your loved ones as well, and from other people, but also learning that it's okay to not be okay. That's the main thing of self-love.
I think so too,
Yeah, we all expect perfection. You can't expect perfection. And when I find that I have my short-term goals and then I have my long-term goals, you can't reach the long-term if you don't take care of the short-term. So little things like breathe throughout the day, or you've got this, little notes that you might write somewhere for yourself, and just keep yourself intact with your mental state is so important to be able to achieve long-term things. So my main thing for self-love, I think, would be aware of who you are, be aware of your strengths, but also be aware of your weaknesses, because getting to know those weaknesses and tackle them and get each area of your life and figuring out what is going wrong for me to wake up in the morning and maybe not feel 100%. Because if you figure out what goes wrong and you fix it, then you get to wake up every day 100%. You need to give your best self to what you do and who you are and your achievements. And I find that the people that have achieved the most are the people that are most aware of who they are.
So true. Because as we said that before we started the recording, everything that goes on in our life is a reflection of the relationship with ourselves. And when there is a disbalance, and then I would say like the different areas, not all your sphere, that you were talking about, that it's not distributed in a way that they are mutually how you say it, like not compensating, but they kind of feed each other in a way that it creates that whole thing. Like I think there is a test, if I'm not mistaken, in Anthony Robbins or I think it was maybe Will, that there is different areas of your life, and you kind of literally just draw the parallel where you would see those areas being closer to being fulfilled or not. And the actual idea is that you have it round, spheric, like what you were saying, and having to know that all of those areas, the love life, the business life, the family life, all of that is a reflection of you, then you know that you can take on then the responsibility to feed it within. Yeah, it's like an outward projection of that inner state.
And I think if there's a health and balance in all of those aspects, then you're able to be 100% yourself. If you're cheating yourself every day and you're saying, oh, I'm happy, but you're not actually happy, it shows. The happiest people are the ones that glow. You see them and they're like, that person's really happy. And most of the issues always are deep issues within ourselves, either from a younger age or from something we've gone through. Because you want to hear a person saying, I'm not very happy because I quit from this job or because they fired me, because then that's a problem that has a solution. Most people that don't feel like they're happy are issues that maybe were caused by other people, or issues within themselves that are unresolved that can't be fixed with a choice. It's not a yes or no. It's not I quit that job, I get this one. There's struggles in life, but I've seen so many people that because they have the right people around them, the right surrounding, the right love, have surpassed anything problematic in work, anything. So the most important thing is love, whether that's self-love or the people that you have around you. Because at the end of the day, work is good, life is good, and you obviously need to work to get a nice house and get a nice car, and that's what everybody aspires to. But if you don't have someone to share that with, then it's going to waste.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, so I think it needs to be a balance. You need to work hard, but love and be loved even harder.
Oh, I love that. This is a beautiful message. This really is a beautiful message. Nowadays, in a world that is so consumed with material achievements, with the strive for this like success, that, as they say, like, what is really success? And like, for example, in your case, what I'm very curious about is how you, having brought yourself out in this world, and say in the social media context, and having to be visible as much as you are, and having people interact with you, what you would say is the most important, it's the most important, not a goal for you, but your experience in this process?
Kindness and staying humble. I've seen a lot of people tell me, they told me, oh, how can you be so humble with everything you've achieved? Or, you've got this many followers on your blog, and all your work's doing so well. I worked recently this year, I worked with Vogue, for example, which I felt very happy about because it was a great achievement. But always what I say is, if people like Oprah can walk around and be humble, so can I. Because if you take away my work accomplishments, then that means my only accomplishment left is to be a good person to my friends, a good person to my family, a good person to my loved one. So if you take all of us and you take away the social media and the money and the success, would I be happy with me? Would I have something to offer? Would I be a good thing to buy if my kindness would be able to be bought? I see so many people and they act all, kind and stuff on social media, and then you meet them and they're not nice to you, and it's hard for me to understand it. I have a lot of, even my friends are like, sometimes, why do you answer to everyone on social media? I might take a good few hours throughout the day to answer to everyone, and that's because I find that it's me doing good karma to this world.
Karma?
Yeah. If you do good karma is going to come back to you. If you keep trying to fix people or be there for people or support or give out all these good energies, then I think you get good things back, but differently. Like I would think that my accomplishments maybe at work are just because I'm kind, maybe because I'm giving out to this world, and this world decides to give back to me. If you don't give out, then nothing comes back. And I've seen a lot of people suffer from that.
But you see, the thing is, you also have to decide to receive.
Yeah. That is true.
A difficult one.
Yeah, I found it difficult recently that I got a girl at my store, and I found it difficult to trust her with things that I would trust myself. it was a bit of a struggle, but I'm getting the hang of it now. And I found that through that process as well, I'm actually in a point where I'm thinking, I could use help. I could use help from my girl at the store. I could use help from my friend, from my family. I could be more open to somebody being a helping hand, being there for me some way that I choose to be for other people. The number one thing that I think though is going wrong in the world is this, the kindness, the lack of kindness, and the lack of understanding. And you see someone do wrong, and instead of trying to understand why, you just see the fault. There's always a reason why. But like we said, boundaries. There's as much as you can help a person, and there's as much as you can. Yeah, you need to put boundaries to stop helping others and just decide to love yourself.
Oh, interesting. So, what do you think needs to change for the world to experience more of that, like, say, respectful interaction?
I think platforms like Instagram, for example, with the whole likes and everything that's going on lately, I've heard that they're going to stop that, and I was actually really happy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's happening, but they said that they're going to stop likes, and that made me happy because it means that a girl my age isn't going to feel like she needs to show her body or she needs to show things of herself that are supposed to be for her and her loved ones and private things just to get likes. Instead, I think guys and girls are going to start thinking, what do I have to offer? What do I have to say instead of just what I look like? Because if people can't see your likes, you're not going to be that invested on how many likes I'm getting, because it doesn't feed people's egos.
So you don't, it's not like a narcissistic gratification, immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It is more of a contribution.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think people are going to start thinking, well, what do I have to offer? What do I have to say as a person? Because looks are great, but they're going to fade eventually.
Yep. And
not only that, we also have the very big influence of surgeries from the age of 16, which isn't healthy. There needs to be a balance in everything that people do. So I find that unfortunately, a lot of girls are getting influenced by that. The whole Kardashian syndrome as well. It is a thing, and it is out there. And
Kardashian syndrome.
Yeah, because everybody thinks now, because it's in fashion, you need to be big and you need to be plumpy, and you need to, one, they have short hair, one they have long hair, one they have this, one they have that, and it doesn't actually, I think, allow women to understand that skinny was in fashion 10 years ago, for example, in the fashion industry. But because curvy is in fashion right now, that doesn't mean that skinny is unacceptable, and vice versa. Back then, when skinny was in fashion, it didn't mean that curvy was unacceptable. So I think that kind of era needs to end, and I'm seeing that different eras are starting, like girls that actually have skin conditions coming out, and alterations in their features, and those people are getting praised now, because they're different and because they make us feel normal.
It reminds me of this ad when I was busy finishing my degree in London, marketing advertising one. There was one of those ads, the Dove one. If you remember, there was it was all about the thin girls. It was like long legs, whatever. And then Dove came out with this ad of like curvy
Mixed
ladies.
bodies.
Yeah, and different skin colors and different pigmentations, and it was, I don't remember the message, but I think the message was like, you're beautiful as you are. And that's such a challenge, because if you think about it now, with the social media, with the filters that we have on, anybody can look perfect on the picture, and it's that fake idea, right?
Yeah, and this, social media is actually helping this instead of stopping this. Like, people are stopping this, but not social media. Platforms like Instagram are not actually helping people be more of themselves. They're actually more, they're challenging people to alter who they are. The people that are actually running Instagram, humans like, what's her surname? Ashley Graham, I think. She is an idol. She's a plus size model, but so beautiful in her own ways. She's changing Instagram, not the actual application. And same with Facebook, same with the internet in general. And as much as Instagram is such a beautiful platform because it lets you express yourself, it also lets you express things that aren't yourself at points where you might be at your lowest. Or
so where's the line?
Yeah, there is no line. You set your line. That's why it's so difficult. That's why you need to be mentally healthy. The amount of relationships or friendships that have gotten ruined from social media, the amount of friendships that became collaborations and then from work collaborations ended up to being nothing just because of social media, because
So
of
it's an
Instagram.
addiction.
I think, yeah. I think for everybody. I think I've seen you do that and you do this and, you see things that you don't want to see. You see things that you would not choose to see in your daily life. For example, I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing stories. Then I see a sponsored ad about an application that fixes your face, even if it's a video. And it shows me a girl that I still think is beautiful. But it shows me whitening her teeth, removing her spots, clearing her skin, changing her hair color, making her eyes bigger or smaller. And I'm thinking, why couldn't we just promote being loved before that whole scenario? It's difficult for even younger people to understand. It took me a few years to actually figure out what self-love is, and honestly, I'm such a big family person. I'm a person that wanted a family since the age of 20. I'm now 25 and I still want kids, but it's very important to be with the right person before you have kids. But it worries me to bring a child in a world where I hear about all these filters and surgeries and drugs going around at this young age, which makes me kind of lose faith in society.
But then, we actually had this discussion yesterday about social media being a magnifying glass for who you are.
Yeah.
So if it's used in the right way, then you can actually, like what you're doing. Here you are sitting here sharing with others the essence of it all. You're sharing your beautiful inner world, and in that way you're actually inspiring others to do the same, and that wouldn't have been able to be possible without the social media. So I believe that the standards themselves will create a certain separation with a more, say, narcissistic, immediate gratification users and the ones who actually influence the world.
You need to be aware of what you bring out to the world, because what you bring out to the world is all up to you. Like, I use my platforms to portray my work, like my clothing or my interior or the way I style things, because I'm trying to help others out there. I'm trying to bring out something good. I would never be the kind of person to use a social media platform for personal matters, or to put others down, to say anything mean. So a lot of times that I've been called things like a pig before on social media.
I have laughed at that.
Yeah, no, I actually, it was the first time that somebody treated me so harshly on social media, and they told me I look like a pig, and that people are laughing at me, and I should be getting tomatoes thrown at me. And as soon as that hit me, it hit me badly. I got sad and I got emotional, and I started questioning why. What have I ever done to this person? It was a fake account, but behind social media.
It's trolling, basically.
Yeah, hiding behind another account. What did I ever do to this person? But then I started realizing that that's not me. That's them. That's what they have to say for themselves.
Exactly. That expresses them rather than you. But this is something that you kind of have to be prepared for when you get out there. That there will be a certain percentage of people that will get challenged with their insecurities, whatever, that they know that they're not capable of. They would have to heal in.
And a lot of people feel like they need to put others down to be happy with themselves, which is wrong. You need to see the other person and try to see goods instead of bads. You need to see another man and say, he's a good person. See another woman and say, she's a good person. You can't be looking at people and finding faults, because then that just creates an extra fault for yourself. If you had 2 faults and then you're over here judging other people, saying they're horrible, they just became 3. So you need to be a bit more aware of yourself.
I agree with you. But also for me, when I see a person developing in a way that satisfies, say, them and it inspires me, I believe that the more healthy way is actually to learn from them. It's impossible to know everything and to be good at everything, but everybody has something to teach you, and that's the humbleness you were talking about.
Everybody's got a weakness. I know, I sure do.
We all do.
I'm not perfect. I might wake up a day and have a spot and and not feel that pretty. I've been through acne before. But people, because they haven't seen that, because social media wasn't as wow, back then, they think that I've always had good skin. Good skin came from a factor also of self-awareness and self-care. What was I doing? I was eating wrong. What activities was I doing? What was I giving to myself physically and mentally? And I started to learn myself to figure out how I can be healthy physically as well. So I think the worst thing is when people think you're perfect. I have made mistakes. I have said things that I should not have said. I have done things I should not have done. But the most important thing is when you make one mistake, you keep it at one, and you learn from it. It's not about being perfect. It's about progressing. Because the more you progress, you find one fault, you make it once, you move on. And if you see that you keep making the same mistake again, it means that it's a choice.
It's a cycle then,
Yeah,
that needs to be broken. So Zoe, just tell us a little bit more about what's in store for you and what people can look forward to.
Yeah, what we're doing this year in both companies in a way, because I have the label and then I have the blog. For the label, I'm actually working with Harper's Bazaar Britain this year, and Elle, and it's something I'm really looking forward to.
Elle,
yeah,
the
Elle
magazine.
Yeah, I worked with Vogue before and all those, and I was really happy for that. But I'm glad I get to expand and work with new people as well. And we're also doing my e-shop, which is going to be live soon. People will be able to shop worldwide, which is something that I'm happy for, because we used to do that through Instagram and it was hard to keep track. And now I'm really happy that people will get the ability to have an easier experience, both from my side and their side, to be able to purchase from all over the world for the label. And I'm also doing, in a way, a collaboration with Echo Shoes. We're going to be presenting my clothing with them, and they're going to be presenting their shoes now this season. And I'm really happy because that is also a label that looks about comfort as well. They think about the comfort and stability of a human before it becomes fashion, and I'm very much like that in the comfort and ease of a fashion. And for the blog, I'm actually starting a YouTube channel, and I'll be doing interior design. I'll be mingling styling and interior design there, so people can actually get to know the artistic side of me when it doesn't come in an actual product, like the thought behind the product of Zeres. Because Zeres is more about the products that I sell, but through the platform, I think I'll be able to show them my self behind all that.
Wonderful. It sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And what about you have a shop, you have a female line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also now this year I'm doing my male line. You're completely right. I'm doing my male collection this year. It's like a small collection for a start to see how the audience reacts. But I've been getting a lot of requests for male clothing, and because my line is so minimal and so simple, I do see a lot of men being able to wear my clothing. So I decided to go ahead with it and make a few male clothing as well.
Fantastic. We could be talking about these things forever, really. There is so many amazing ways that we could take this, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. You are so beautiful, inspiring, and I'm looking forward to perhaps having more of those. Thank you guys for staying tuned. Please leave your comments. We're going to leave Zoe's details below. And have an amazing, inspiring day, amazing, inspiring week, and stay tuned with us. Thank you.